Hi, I'm Lance Henriksen. You're watching Bryan Lomax's Movie Talk. Don't turn it off.
Hello there and welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the Alien and Predator movies. Why both together? Well, because let's face it, these two franchises are very closely linked. Not least of which because they have done two crossover movies, which a lot of people kind of, want to push to one side and say they don't exist. And fair enough if you want to do that. We can all understand why. But for better or worse, these two franchises are very closely linked. So I just wanted to kind of rank them all together. I kind of wanted to rank both separately, but then I thought, you know what? Let's just put the whole lot in. It'd be fun to see actually which franchise kind of comes out on top for the most part. Let's get started. There's 11 films in total, and at number 11, the worst film of the whole lot, in my mind, is Alien vs Predator, the first one, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. I know a lot of people are going to be screaming at me saying, surely you think AVP Requiem is worse. Gotta say, no, I don't. Look, there's just something about this first AVP. The visual aesthetic, the way it tries to ape so many scenes from the original movies and lines of dialogue as a kind of nod, wink at the audience. That stuff, I can't stand it. It does my head in. We get a leading lady who has none of the charisma, none of the power that Sigourney Weaver had in the role of Ripley. Yeah, and let's face it, Paul W.S. Anderson, not exactly top tier director. Not that the Krause brothers are any better than him, but I just didn't like what he brought to this franchise. And when you first get the announcement that they were going to have these two aliens going against each other, and then this is what we got. No. AVP gets a 2.5 out of 5 from me. Next up at number 10 is AVP Requiem. Look, the difference between these two with regards to quality is so slight. Quite frankly, they were both turds. I just find that I can watch this one a lot more than Anderson's film. I think I like the visual aesthetic more. And I know people are going to shout at the screen and say, you can't see the visual aesthetic because the film is so dark. Fair play to you, Look, if you turn the lights off, watch this at night, you can kind of see what's going on. But I love the setting a lot more. I feel it's a bit more self-contained. I like the characters a lot more, even though a lot of them are just kind of rejects from any kind of CW programming. The aliens seem more brutal to me. The Predator seems more brutal to me. It just fits in a bit more, I think, with the monsters as we've come to know them from the previous movies. Whereas the first film felt like it was geared more at a kind of 12A audience, PG-13, wherever you are. This felt more like an R kind of rated film. It felt more like what we should expect from these two giants going against each other, So yeah, not an incredible film, but just about at the level that I can call it good. Definitely watchable. I give it a 3 out of 5. Next up is Alien Resurrection, a film that actually had a script by Joss Whedon. Not that you would notice, because none of his kind of seal seems stamped on this film. It's barely recognisable as something that Joss Whedon would do. Now, I wouldn't say it's a bad film. There's definitely a lot to recommend about it. I think Winona Ryder's character is really good in this film. I like Ripley in this film, or Ripley's clone I should say in this film, because this isn't actually Ripley. She's pretty badass in this. Some really good scenes involving the aliens, such as like the underwater stuff. That's really tense. There's just a few scenes that really let it down. The bit where the guy picks the bit of brain out of the back of his head, that was just like, what is that? That is just weird slapstick that had no place in this movie. It really took me out of that moment, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for most of the film afterwards, just thinking, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? So yeah, that moment really ruined it for me. But beyond that, just the awful creature design for the alien human hybrid at the end. It was, yeah, terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's not the story that lets it down. It's not the performances that let it down. It was just that. When this monstrous thing comes out, or what should be a monstrous thing, and you get that, it looks like pizza that's been run over by a car. It was too funny, to be honest. It just completely took you out of the film at that point. So yeah, it's disappointing in one sense, because like I said, there is a lot to like about this film. There's a moment when Ripley's clone goes into this room and she finds all these failed attempts at cloning her, and it's a real powerful moment. And when she has to burn them all, it's just, yeah. So this could have been so much more, and it's only because of the level of disappointment that it becomes actually so much less. I give it a 3 out of 5 because I can still watch this regularly, I think, but I can't honestly say that it's up there with the best of them. And number 8 is David Fincher's Alien 3. Now this was Fincher's first film. He was a bit wet behind the ears. He kind of didn't allow himself to, I guess, have his voice heard as much as he would now. There's a quote from David Fincher when he once said that, as a piece of advice, he said, never care more about the project you're working on than the studio, because they will grab you by the balls for it, basically. They had all the power, and he never felt like he could make moves or kind of put his stamp on it the way he wanted to. He allowed studio pressure to push him about, and as a result, the film does suffer from that. Now, the director's cut of this, which is available on Blu-ray and DVD, I think is better. It does make some improvements, and you do see a bit more of the vision that Fincher was going for. But beyond that, Fincher has kind of disowned this film. I think it's a shame, because actually there is a lot here to love, particularly Sigourney Weaver in the film. I like Charles Dance as well, the relationship they strike up. I think the thing that I think upsets most people, most fans of the Alien franchise, is the way that they just discard with Newt and Michael Bihn's character, who I forget, Hicks. Yeah, that is a real disappointment. Coming off the back of Aliens, and then they're just wiped out. Yeah, that's a very big disappointment. From a visual standpoint, it's really good, although some of the special effects, some of the CGI on the Alien hasn't held up particularly well. But I do like the, getting back to basics, getting back to a confined location where people don't have many weapons, and you've just got one alien kind of hunting them down. I'd still only give this a 3 out of 5, but I do think it's marginally better than Resurrection. And number 7 is Predator 2, directed by Stephen Hopkins. And I think this film is actually quite a decent action flick. It's very OTT. It's kind of got that late 80s, early 90s vibe about it, where, they just put an unbelievable amount of swearing in it, and over-the-top violence and nudity, where they just try and get away with whatever they could, basically. But for whatever reason, this film just works for me. I kind of like Danny Glover doing his almost Lethal Weapon shtick, only in a Predator movie. And I also really like Bill Paxton in this. He's really funny. And I just like the Predator. I've always liked the Predator. It's one of the first. In fact, I saw a Predator movie long before I ever saw an Alien movie. I saw it on video. It was one of the first films I watched on video, and it always just stuck with me. So I have a bit of affection for this monster, this cinematic monster, the Predator. And I just, yeah, as far as sequels go, you could do a lot worse. I think Predator 2 is pretty decent. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Number 6 is Predators. Yeah, really good. I think we're actually getting into very strong territory now as we get into these next lot of films. I think this is very underrated. I think that there are things in the trailer that we were kind of promised because they were there in the trailer that actually didn't happen in the film, and that was a bit upsetting, I must say, because I felt like I'd been manipulated. But when you get past that stuff, this is actually a really good film that kind of harkens back to the original, the aesthetic of the original, with that kind of jungle setting and a group of soldiers being hunted down by this predator. So yeah, that's kind of what I want from a Predator movie. I found the characters engaging. I like the idea that these people were just abducted, stuck on this Predator planet, so you don't know who any of them are, and we get the chance for their backstories to kind of come out as the story goes along. And that obviously leaves room open for some twists in the story, which, depending on your love or hate of a particular actor, I guess will determine how much you like this film. I don't mind him. I like the twist. I liked where to go with it, and I really liked Adrian Brody in the central role. And if they ever brought him back in a Predator film, which I don't think they will, I'd be quite happy with that, to be honest. In fact, what I'd love to see is Adrian Brody's character from this and Arnie's character meeting up at some point in another Predator film. But we're probably never going to get that. I give Predators a 4 out of 5. And number 5 is Prometheus. This is a film that I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with. The first time I saw it, I loved it. Second time I saw it, the sheen had kind of totally worn off. So I wasn't looking forward to it when I was going to watch it for a third time. I was going to do this movie night commentary thing on my channel with some of the guys, and yeah, I watched it for the third time and loved it again. I was like, what is going on with this film? So yeah, I think there's a lot more in it than people give it credit for. If you check out some videos on YouTube, people who do these deep analysis of it and how it relates to the actual story of Prometheus, stealing fire from the gods and all that lot. It's so interwoven in this film, the story of it. And just again, go and check out Lawrence of Arabia. If you watch Lawrence of Arabia, I think it'll give you a better appreciation of this film as well, because just of the way in which David models himself on Lawrence, not just from a physical standpoint, but also from an intellectual standpoint, from his outlook on life, his views, and where he goes, both in this film and in the film that came after it. Cracking stuff, I think. Really good directorial effort from Ridley Scott. Stunning visuals. A really good alien film, I think. Even though, like I say, it's not quite an alien film. It's a prequel. A lot of people not too happy with it because they just wanted aliens. But I'm happy that we got something a little bit more kind of intellectually stimulating rather than just rehashing previous alien movies. I give this a 4 out of 5. Number 4 is Alien Covenant. I really liked this film. I've reviewed this film in depth on my channel. Check out that review if you want to hear more of my thoughts. I found a lot of my faith kind of in the film, being dealt with. A lot of things that are important to me from a faith aspect were dealt with in a really unique way in the film. And again, it comes to that idea of these movies, of Ridley Scott using these movies to explore things, other than just a horror show, which he did with his first film. So I appreciate that. I love Prometheus and Covenant for those reasons, that it is trying to do something more. Sadly, I don't think we're going to get a continuation of that now, because the studio wasn't happy with the box office returns for this film, and I think a lot of fans weren't happy because they just, I guess they just want to see aliens stalking people, killing people, and to me that's a little upsetting, I gotta say, because I like what we get here. For me, very good film. I give it 4.5 out of 5. It's still one of my favourite films of this year, in fact. So yeah. Number 3 is Predator, the first Predator movie. Like I say, one of the first films that I got out on video when we bought a VCR. You know, we rented Ghostbusters, a few other films, and then this was like pretty close after that. So yeah, and it stuck with me. Just Stan Winston's creature designs, perfect, absolute perfection. Arnold Schwarzenegger on fine form. This is one of his best films, I think, you know, up there with the Terminators. Great action scenes. John McTiernan on fine form. You know, he cranked this out and Die Hard within the space of like 2 years. The guy was at the top of his game. And just some genuine thrills. Brilliant action, brilliant moments of horror. Yeah, stunning. I give this a 5 stars. I just think it's one of the best action movies that we've ever had. And number 2 is Alien. This is Ridley Scott's first film in the Alien franchise. Absolutely fantastic. Just, yeah. You know, if you want a lesson in how to build tension, look no further than this. Absolutely stunning. The creature design from H.R. Geiger is absolutely fantastic as well. The ship designs, the way it's really murky, kind of like the antithesis of Star Trek, really, with its clean-cut approach. This is really dirty, really kind of like miners in space kind of thing. Yeah, it's just amazing, amazing production design. Performances all across the board are really good. You genuinely buy that this bunch of people is a crew who've been working together for years and years. You kind of feel like it's almost like it's a documentary, like you've just been brought in. You know, from the moment that their pods open up and you just kind of see them interacting with each other, it feels like we've just been led into their world. So when all the stuff starts happening, when the alien starts running riot on the ship, you genuinely feel for these guys. You genuinely feel attached to them, and you don't want to see them die the way that you do in kind of more modern horror films, in which you're literally just ticking people off the list. Can't wait for them to go. Here, you feel connected. So, yeah, brilliant, brilliant piece of sci-fi. Brilliant piece of horror. You can look at it both ways. It's a science fiction horror film and it excels in both. Which obviously means that my number 1 choice is Aliens. This is one of my favourite films of all time. It is the first Alien film I ever saw and it just kicks ass. You know, James Cameron on fine form, military, loads of aliens, alien queen, total war. Completely different from the first film. You know, like many sequels fail because they try to just rehash what came before. This succeeds on every level because it goes in a completely different direction. You know, the first film was this really slow burn sci-fi horror. This film, it's an all-out war movie. It's absolutely brilliant. Lance Henriksen gives one of his finest performances as this android. I really like what he does here in this film. And Ripley, Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, yeah, you know, that if the first film kind of made her an icon within the sci-fi horror genre, this absolutely cemented it in history. It really did. It made her character one of the finest characters in cinema, and no matter how many dodgy sequels we get after this, they can never tarnish what has been done with these first 2 Alien movies. Yeah, stunning piece of work, absolutely brilliant, and I give it a 5 out of 5, as with the first Alien film, which I don't think I rated before, but if I didn't, there you go. 5 out of 5 for both of them. So there you go, that is my ranking of both the Alien and Predator franchises together. What did you think of my choices? What are your choices? Please comment below and let me know. Until next time, crack in.